down Chino Airport.
Okay.
And this was they had out there. They had the Army Air Corps had blue fuselage and yellow wings, and this was the primary trainer. This was the very first airplane you learned to fly.
Wow.
If you're a bomber pilot, carrier pilot, fighter pilot, any kind of pilot at all, you learn to fly this.
So this is what you learned to fly on, Ed,
This
right?
is the first airplane I flew.
Do you remember what year that was?
Yeah, 1943.
1943. Could you show me a little bit about the plane and about the engine? Tell me something about...
This airplane originally came with a
220 horsepower.
220 horsepower. My son restored this airplane and then put a 300 horse. Now it's much more powerful.
Much more powerful plane, yeah. So then you progressed from this plane, you progressed on to...
Yeah, from this airplane here, then you would go in. This is the primary trainer.
Right.
Then you go into basic training, which you start flying a basic training airplane. It's called a PT-13.
PT-13, that was... Yeah, I remember seeing those, yeah.
Made by Vultee.
Wow.
And you get a few hours in that, and then you graduate to advanced flying. And in advanced flying, you start flying the AT-6, the Texan AT-6, which was the first airplane you fly with a retractable landing gear, and it has a lot more instruments in it than the. First, you start flying with this airplane here, and you have just the basic instruments, just the airspeed indicator and altimeter. Then you go up to a basic trainer, then you start getting into engine instruments and more flight instruments, artificial horizon, needle and ball. You get the engine instruments, and you get a lot more instruments in the basic trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Then you when you go up to advanced, you get all those instruments plus a few more, and plus you have the retractable landing gear that you have to worry about.
It's incredible.
Or keep in mind, anyway.
Yeah, you have to definitely remember to put that down, right?
You have to remember to put the gear down when you come in for a landing.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a warning horn when you cut back on the throttle. If you don't have your landing gear down, there's a warning horn that warns you that, hey, your landing gear is still up.
Oh, so
then you put it down.
Then once you hear that horn, you know you got to put it down.
Yeah.
So how many hours of flight you reckon you've
in your
career?
Advanced flying, including the primary, basic, and advanced, you have approximately 220 hours of flight time. At that time, when you graduate from flying in advanced, you have your pilot wings and your second lieutenant bars and your commissioned officer. So now you either go to RTU training, replacement training unit, which you start flying fighters and more advanced fighters.
Which is exactly what you
start
did,
getting
right?
a few hours in that. You learn to fly an airplane with a lot of power before going into combat. In my case, I didn't go to RTU. They made me an instructor. So I instructed in basic training for about 6 months before going into combat. So by the time I got into combat, I had a lot more hours than the average pilot. So I had a lot more experience. Consequently, I was as a replacement pilot. Usually you don't get very many combat hours, but they started putting me in combat right away and gave me a lot of combat missions.
Wow.
I had as many combat missions as some of the old-time pilots because of the fact that I had so many hours already before I went into combat.
Where were you stationed initially during the war?
When I went overseas, we were stationed in England, and right out of a town named Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury, yeah. I'm from England, so I was born in England. I came over on the Queen Mary.
Oh, you know Shrewsbury?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Shrewsbury's.
My dad was in the RAF.
There's a lot of history in Shrewsbury.
Oh, yeah.
Then I joined the 365th Fighting Group. That's the HellHawks, when they were already past the D-Day, and they were already in Reims, France. I joined them in Reims, and I got my first combat missions flying out of Reims. And then on, we flew. We moved up to a little town in Chevres in Belgium, which was right out of Mons. And we flew quite a few missions out of Mons before going into another town in Florence, also in Belgium. Then our first station, we were the first fighter group to be stationed in Germany itself, and that was in Aachen.
Wow.
Aachen, Aachen, Germany.
How many people were in your fighter group?
Oh, pilots, we had about 40 or 45 pilots. Of course, with all the support personnel like mechanics and armorers and radio men and so forth.
Yeah.
We had, I imagine, over 300 people.
So you were telling me earlier that you still fly regularly with your son Gabe here.
Oh yeah, I still fly.
That's great.
I still have my pilot license.
Still have your pilot's license?
Yeah.
And so what year was it you got your first flight light? What year did you get your pilot's license?
I graduated from flight school in January 1944.
44. And how about you, Gabe? When did you...
Oh, I've had my license.
Can you come
now.
over this way? Get you out of the shade.
Yeah.
I mean, out of the sun. That's better. Yeah, that's fine. Like, your father likes sun. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I taught my son Gabe to fly when he was a teenager.
You're a teenager, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
so when I went in with an instructor finally, instructor soloed me after an hour because he'd already taught me how to fly.
Wow. That's a heck of a... Anybody else in the family fly?
No.
No, just you two, huh?
Yeah.
Gabe's the only one that takes after me. He loves flying. Just
Well,
as
it sure is.
much
I
as
mean,
I do.
I've been up in this. He took me up in this and in one of the other planes, and boy, it's fun. I mean, there's something magical about flying up there, those
absolutely.
mountains, you know. You never lose the bug, right?
No.
True.
But you don't. Now, the plane. What was the plane that the fighter plane?
The fighter that I flew in Europe was a P-47 Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt. Okay.
The most formidable fighter pilot in the war.
Most vulnerable?
Formidable.
Oh, formidable. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just like a flying tank.
Wow.
It
Did
brought
you?
me home from mission many times. And if I'd been flying, say, for example, a P-51 Mustang, I'd have been shot out of the sky many times.
Oh wow. Did you have any close calls or?
Oh, a lot of them.
But you lived to tell the tale, right? Anything major happened during the?
Besides flying the Thunderbolt, we had a Norseman, which is a UC-64 transport plane, and I was the only pilot interested in flying it, so I kind of became the designated pilot for flying that UC-64. Anytime any of the ground personnel wanted to go someplace, they wanted to go to Paris, or they had to go to Berlin, or they had to go to Frankfurt, I would be flying them. So I was flying it all over Europe between combat missions.
Wow.
They didn't relieve me of my combat missions because I still flew combat, but between combat missions I was always in the air. I liked to fly, so Uncle Sam was paying me to fly, so why not do it?
Why not do it exactly?
Tell them about that time when the flak blew up around the...
The what?
The flak that hit you across the face.
Oh yeah, one particular mission, it was in Paderborn, Germany. There was a hotbed for German Wehrmacht, or whatever they call themselves. Anyway, it was a big Panzer division stationed there at Paderborn, and we were coming down on them, strafing half tracks and Tiger tanks and gun emplacements, and a couple of we were getting heavy flak, and either a shrapnel went through the canopy or a bullet, I don't know which it was, went through the canopy and scraped my head right across
right above your eyes,
nose, and went out the other side. If I'd have been forward, it would hit me in the temple and I wouldn't be here today.
Oh wow.
However, I had blood all over the cockpit. It must have hit a capillary that was close to the skin, and I was bleeding very, very badly. But I wiped the the blood out of my eyes, and spotted the gun emplacements that were shooting at me. So I assumed that they were the ones that were responsible for me getting wounded. So I went down on them and I obliterated them with my 850 caliber machine guns. And,
You got them good.
and I went around again and got a couple more tanks. And for that flight, I was given a Purple Heart and a Distinguished Flying Cross.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Wow. Well, I really appreciate talking to you. I only have about 10 minutes on this, so I have to cut it off. But I'll talk to you more in a minute. So, thank you very much.